All right, I'm showing 7 o'clock on the clock, and I'll call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda, August minutes and September claim docket. Has everybody had a chance to review those items?
Is the stream on?
The stream is on.
Okay.
You want me to move it to the,
No, we're just making sure.
okay, yeah,
Just making sure.
I remembered to hit the button this time.
That's what it looked like last month.
Audio is looking like it's
Good.
registering everybody's voices. I know everybody's having a troubleshoot me because last month I forgot to hit the actual go live button.
Just help.
Oops.
Well, I make a motion that we accept the August minutes and September claim dockets.
Okay, I have a first motion.
I'll second.
Got a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. All right, next item is a public hearing on the 2022 budget. So I'm going to close our regular business meeting for the council meeting and open a public hearing for the 2022 budget. Any comments or questions? Okay, I don't have any. Oh, sorry, go ahead, John.
No, I just,
All right, no public comments for the public hearing for the budget, so we'll close the public hearing for the budget and reopen our regular town council business meeting. Before we get on to too much old business, the first old business is it's John's birthday today.
Old business.
if you don't want to sing to me, that'd be all
Should
right.
that be under building?
Happy birthday, John.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is snow removal, salting, and sanding. Last month we talked about potentially trading in our sprayer for a salt spreader for the truck. Pete did look around. Pete's not here because he's sick, so I told him don't come infect anybody, so he stayed home. The Plainfield equipment where we bought the sprayer, they would not take the old sprayer back to trade it for a new piece of equipment. He did get two quotes from them on sprayer or spreaders for the salt. One was a stainless steel and one was a polycarbonate. So we can put those together. One was 7,300. That was for the polycarbonate one, and then the other one was the stainless steel 8450 for the salt spreaders that would fit in our Dodge truck. So we just have to look at that. I did contact Wright Lawn and Landscape. Ben Wright had been a volunteer firefighter here at Liberty Township Fire Department, and he's still lives in the area, and according to his website for the landscape business, he's got a Clayton address. So he said he's actually looking to expand his snow removal business, and he would be happy to work with Clayton. He quoted me $80 an hour if we called him out on the spot, and so he would send out a crew with his truck and his blade on it as we would need. So he also said he had a smaller thing, kind of like our UTV, where it could go on the sidewalks. It's got just a 4-foot blade. So he said it's up to us what we'd like to do with that, but he would be willing.
Is that the push snow?
Yes.
Or
And spread, I mean, it's just $80 an hour for whatever they would come out and do, is what he said. So it would just depend on, what our contract said, but that would be the rate for if we called him on the spot to come out and assist, that's where he would come down on the hourly rate. So it's a little bit better than the previous quotes that we had got.
And then, like, how do we determine, or does he just determine like how many hours it's gonna take? Or do we set him up under some kind of, does it just keep plowing until it's cleared and we just pay him that, or?
Yeah, and the way I was understanding is initially, we would take care of like the start of the snow removal process, and then just when we needed help for additional, like bigger snows, that's when we would call him, and he would do part of it while we were doing the other part. Does that sound like what we were talking about?
Do we have any
Yep.
data on how long Pete's been out doing that in the past?
I know one of the heavy snows that we had last winter, I remember his wife called down here looking for him because he'd been here for 11 and a half hours that day. But that was kind of an extreme day for the most part.
If it's not a real bad snow, it's a, workable snow and stuff, figure 6 to 7 hours doing the streets, the intersections, and then the sidewalks. Cause he gets the SUV, out and does the sidewalks also.
So, and if our town employees were doing part of that, and then we called Rice Landscape to the other part, we might see, I would guess 4 hours or so of them working for us, so.
And another thing on the snow removal, if any of the guys want to do it, or ladies, I've done it 3 or 4 times. Take the side by side, and I do the sidewalks while he's doing the other stuff. If you want to get out and play in the snow.
Right.
That sounds good to me.
So do we have kind of a standard contract we could use, Graham, for a business like this doing?
I could come up with
Some
something. I
on-call.
think maybe the first step would be reaching out to him and seeing if he has a standard contract that he uses with various entities, and then we could tweak his if we need to.
Yeah, I kind of tried to hint at that, and he
Okay.
didn't see, he was like, I don't know what you mean, but, so, I mean, I get, I've seen some of his landscape work, and he does a really great job, but he's, just doing, some of this stuff for, he's a full-time firefighter. so
I understand.
2 days
Yeah, he
off
could-
to, do side stuff, but,
we could put
so I'm
something together.
thinking we probably,
Take the labor and work on that one.
yeah,
Okay.
do a contract and get that out
He'll
there.
be up on the table.
All right, any other discussion on snow removal or salting, sanding? What we wanna go forward with? I don't know. Did you wanna look at these, Steve, since you've had some
They
experience?
both sound real good to me.
They,
Even the stainless steel one sounds.
yeah, the poly,
The polycarbonate, now myself, I would rather go with the polycarbonate than
Yeah.
stainless steel.
the, what was, I don't remember, I wish,
It was
7,300 for the
7,300.
7300 for the plastic one, and then the 8450 for the stainless steel. They both had, their own power source, so it wouldn't, like, as Pete said, he had experience in the past where, if you accidentally left the connected or on, it would drain the battery on the truck, and so these wouldn't do that. They have their own way to power that, so they would get powered off the alternator instead of the battery, I guess. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense on that or not.
And that was a spreader.
That was the salt spreader, yes. All right, and if no more discussion on that, we can move on and make, hopefully get some, a contract worked up with Wright's Lawn and Landscape and move forward with that, so. And one of these, I don't know, do we wanna make a decision on the type of, either of these spreaders or?
I think the plastic or whatever, the poly, whatever, is the way to go.
I do too,
myself.
it'd be lighter weight than the stainless too.
Okay,
But I think,
More
if
durable.
we're gonna provide a good service to the town, we've gotta be able to spread salt.
Yeah.
You can't, even the slightest snowstorm, you gotta spread salt. Refreeze and everything. And if, you know, we are getting close, whether it feels like it or not, we're getting close to it. Then the end of November, you know, is when you start preparing for that.
right,
So, I
Okay.
don't know what the lead time is to get them, but if we get stuck with
Good
our
point.
pants down.
nowadays, it could, I mean, this year, it could be a while, but, so do we wanna move forward with this, the plastic $7,300 spreader to purchase for the Dodge?
And then we're still would be on track to get, salt from, what's his name?
Rutledge,
Rutledge up there.
I would presume.
Yeah, he's got a big storage facility for holding it, so we wouldn't have to, we just have to drive up there, have him load our spreader and then.
My opinion is that we move on it.
Okay.
I agree.
Alright,
Well, I'll make a motion that we purchase the polycarbonated salt spreader for $7,300.
okay, got a first motion,
I'll second that.
got a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, okay.
Does that have the wiring installed and everything? Whether is it good to go?
Yeah, Plainfield Equipment will,
Put it
yeah,
on.
Pete would just drive the Ram over there and they'll install it and get it all hooked up for us, so. Alright, yeah, in fact, his quote here says installed, so they've actually put it on the paperwork. Next item on the agenda, job descriptions. I printed out the two that we've been working on, for the wastewater treatment plant operator and the assistant operator. Last month, I just forgot to print them out for you. Nothing's changed on them since then. After going over it with George and Mindy, they give their thumbs up on that job description. We have to have those for the asset management plan. They've got a list of all the things that they've required. In fact, I also printed off a town organizational chart. Has to be a part of that same asset management plan. If you see anything on here that's missing or that seems incorrect to you, then we can change that, but that's the one that I put together for part of that.
Looks nice.
Okay?
Let's leave that.
Need it?
No, that's okay.
And then, Graham, for adopting job descriptions that have to go into a formal,
Be adopted like a policy manual, or are we going to adopt the asset management plan at some point?
yes.
Okay, I think perhaps we just wait and include everything and then have a formal adoption of the plan.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we'll work on that. All right, next item on the agenda for the old business is our traffic study. So there's been multiple requests over the last couple of years about this intersection at 500 South and Iowa Street. And about putting a all-way stop there. Last year when this came up, we kind of all decided we didn't want to do that based on Chief Oliphant said there hadn't been any records of crashes there, and so it got brought up again a couple months ago on, why haven't we made a decision to do this? So what I looked into is, you know, what would you do if we had decided we did want one there? State law requires we would have to have a traffic study to do that. And there's a document that I learned about in looking at this called the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which, according to the state, NDOT is supported by our state code, Indiana code. And so to me, I guess, I was thinking if we have a requirement to do a traffic study to put a stop sign there, if we did want a traffic study and it said it wasn't warranted, then maybe that would be the end of the discussion for that. So I wanted to present, I got a couple of proposals from Yarger Engineering and then from Traffic Engineering up in Danville, and about what it would take to do that traffic study. Alright, so I know, Leanne, you wanted to participate in the discussion, so that's why we tabled it last month, so that you could be here to talk about your view on this.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I just feel like you've got this on this Yarger, it says because of the speed limit being 30 miles an hour within the town, no speed study will be conducted unless specifically requested. So, in other words, they're saying it's not really warranted, we've got the speed under control, and the town, will request the, crash reports to be provided. Well, there hasn't been any crashes, so I don't know that there's any reports that's gonna be added to this. It's my opinion that I don't see why the town would pay $3,000 for, even a study that's not warranted.
We made a decision a year ago that we weren't gonna do it, and nothing's changed since then. So I'm not sure who said we haven't made a decision yet?
Well, we make the decision. It's more, a business owner has gone to other people in town and said, why aren't we doing this?
Oh, okay.
So he's come to your shop and said, why aren't we doing this? He's gone to the library and talked to them about
He
it.
hasn't been in
So,
my shop.
it's just, I thought he had come in and
No.
talked to you. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I misunderstood. So that has just been kind of an ongoing, discussion around town, I guess. The,
My question would be why would we do it? If he wants to know why wouldn't we do it, I would counter that with why would we? We haven't had wrecks, we haven't had anybody injured.
and to be fair, we can't 100% sure say we haven't had wrecks. We had to replace the stop sign there, probably 4 months ago, cause somebody mowed it down. So, and they left their bumper behind. They didn't report it, so, we can fairly say, we know it hasn't been reported. So I don't know what the circumstances were of that person running over the stop sign and then leaving the scene. To me, I guess, if we did a study, which the one study from traffic engineering is $1,895 for that one, so it's a little less than the other one. It would no longer be like our opinion versus somebody else's, I guess.
So I say there's a lot of kids getting injured at the park, and I feel like we should do a study for that. And the same is true for, you pick the place, where would it end? We haven't seen problems, so I'm just voicing my opinion, I don't see a reason to spend the money.
I think that you have a business person that's going around and asking, somebody's opinion, and I kind of feel like when you're talking to somebody, you might say, oh yeah, I agree with you, when they really don't. I don't see anybody that has actually come to the town board. I don't see any kind of a petition or anything like that that says that these people of the town want this. I just, until that happens, until I see somebody actually come to us and say, yeah, us 20 people here, we want this study done. two business people that want it isn't enough for me to say, yeah, I'm gonna spend $1,900 or $3,000 for a study that I don't think's warranted.
Okay, any other discussion?
Was there,
Go ahead.
was there concern brought up from the business owners?
Yes,
And,
so,
and what was it?
well, I mean, D&D Auto, the claim was made to me and to Pete, that the tow truck from D&D Auto has had to respond to that intersection to help and tow people off of the intersection after crashes happened, which, I mean, I wasn't there, I didn't see it, I don't know, but it wasn't reported to Hendricks County Dispatch if that happened, kind of thing. So, I also don't feel like it would be warranted based on talking to both of these engineers on the phone and them going over the data with me from this traffic control devices manual and stuff like that. I feel like doing a study would be, something that would help the town say, all right, we listened to your concerns, we did this study, and it's not warranted, so it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from on a study. That's saying, this person at the shops that says we need it, we say we don't need it. But if you had a study and a certified traffic engineering says you don't need it, it's a dead subject. I mean, you're covering both ends. They're just not saying, well, you guys made that decision because you didn't want it. But, I don't think we need it either, but that's just.
Yeah, the money would come out of our motor vehicle highway fund if we decided to spend it. So we have money there. I get the concept of why would we spend it right now if we're not wanting to go forward with this. So, but when Pete brought it up a couple of months ago after, he was approached, I said, well, let's look into what it would cost, so I brought it to the board, you guys make a decision. Anything from you, Dave?
I thought we laid it to rest a year ago. And if there was an outcry from at least a few more residents, not just a business owner, but a few more residents, specifically ones that live right around that area, I would agree with getting a study done. But there isn't an outcry from anyone outside of the one or two business owners that are on those corners specifically. And then I also find it, if we were to put in some sort of a stop sign in that area, how would it be arranged? Because the intersection is not a typical cross intersection. It is very staggered as far as the roadway goes, north to south and east to west. So that's trying to figure out how a stop sign of any sort would help in that situation because of the way the intersection is staggered. So I would, as far as the study goes, it would be a great tool to say, no, we don't need anything, but on the other hand, I don't think we're at a point where we need a study yet.
Okay. I felt like this was educational for me, reading this Indiana Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. I didn't know that existed a year ago when we first talked about this. And so kind of finding that, I think next time if I were to talk to somebody about that intersection, that would be the first thing I would bring up. Is this manual dictates when we can and can't put a all-way stop in. And which one of the statements that I had heard in the past is, well, the town can just do whatever they want with it. And this dictates, no, we can't. We have to follow the guidelines that are that NDOT adopted. So
That's what I was talking about a minute ago, so.
So that's, I did find it was educational to me.
One other point I wanna make about this. The whole reason I believe they want that stop sign there is not because the intersection is dangerous. I believe they want that stop sign to slow down traffic because they feel like traffic is speeding coming into town. To me, the stop sign is not the way to go. If there's a problem with speeding, we need to get Matt more time on the books or something, and get him down there and get it stopped. I mean, they speed past my house just like they speed into town, so it's not just that little place there we're having problems with speeding. They go down 39 like, I don't know how they can get up speed from the stop sign to my place, but they're already doing 50 or 60 going through, out of town, so.
They ignore the school sign.
Yeah, so,
Does the, digital sign that's over on your street right now, does that record any data, or is it just flash? It doesn't show how many times somebody, traffic has been over the speed limit?
I don't believe it does.
Okay.
Where Chief Wolfgang.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just, just as it's
Just as
a
a-
radar, reporting, so it just tells me how fast I'm going when I'm driving down the street.
Right,
And that's it.
it flashes it.
Yeah. So, and Matt can move that anywhere in town he wants. I kinda thought it would be nice if he had a couple more of those, but.
Except on the state
Except on
highway.
39.
You can't on,
Right, this, which, I don't
No,
understand that, the state won't allow him to put one on.
But we could
39.
on
On
south of the
that-
stop sign.
Yeah, on that
Well-
section of Iowa, it
Yeah.
could be, there could be one there,
Yeah.
if you wanted to move it there. Yep. Alright, any other discussion on this traffic study? I'm hearing that it's a no-go. Nobody wants it. Alright, next item, we will not only table that.
We will throw it away.
Alright, one other thing on traffic, I forgot to put this on the agenda, I printed off, the citywide paving gave us an estimate on Pennsylvania. So they, we talked back and forth several times on, well, what's your specifications on the road that you need, and I was like, I didn't know at first.
yeah.
So I had to call around and talk to some other people and the Department of Transportation. So the information they put on here with the 8 inches of number 53 stone, the 3 inches of binder, and then the 1.5 inches of surface, that is what the Department of Transportation says is minimum for a collector street, which is what Pennsylvania would be called. Now the 24,198 is just that section of Pennsylvania. They did tell me that if we wait and do this when Dwayne Lane paves his part and include it all together, that it would be cheaper, because the more supplies they can buy, the cheaper they can get them at one time. So now when I talked to Dwayne Lane, he did not have an estimated time for when he was gonna get started on those doubles and that one-way street issue. He said he got some other properties, and he's working on those instead right now, so. This is one of the bids that we're asking for that part of Pennsylvania. So anybody have any questions on that?
You've got square feet here, do you know, do we have any information on linear feet where the roadway would be that we're paying for?
I think when we measured it, I think it was 110 feet
Oh.
altogether from where current pavement on Pennsylvania ends to the property line for the Coopers. And this would make, and it would be 21 feet wide to fit with the minimum for a two-lane street, for a collector street.
suggest approve this?
Well, I mean, like I said, I don't know if we wanna continue to wait and see what Dwayne Lane's gonna do with building doing his property improvements.
Mhm.
Because then, like I said, this number would go down for our section if we pave it at the same time.
I'm for that.
Or if we want to just go ahead because we don't know Dwayne's time frame for what he wants to do. So what do you guys?
Do the Coopers line?
I haven't, had a chance to talk to them since we got started on this process. I could try reaching out to them and find out.
I mean, they're the ones that brought this forward, right?
Right.
So,
Which I did wanna, I guess, hopefully Matt will be back. There's one of the families that's renting, the doubles is using that section of Pennsylvania as a parking area now. And so, which I'll just get with Matt later and tell him he's gotta do something to make sure they understand that's part of Pennsylvania Street. They can't just block
Not
the
park
whole.
in the driveway.
right.
Right. Alright, any other thoughts on this? Do we wanna wait till Dwayne Lane moves forward, or we wanna try and do this ourselves?
I think, from what talks we had with Ronnie when he was here that night, just knowing that we're gonna do it satisfied him. So I think if we waited, he's still gonna be happy, so.
Okay, I'll reach out to him and, let him know we got,
Good.
you know, at least the beginnings of a bid, but we wanna wait until we're paving at the same time with Dwayne. Alright, next item on the agenda, Keystone Software for Asset Management. So Jenny, you wanna talk about that?
Well, we decided we would set up a demonstration with Keystone, and their asset management was $34.70. But after we did that, I started reading the old minutes, and, we already made a motion to have,
Baker Tilly.
Baker Tilly do it for between 5 and 10,000, so we either have to take that one back to do this, or there's no sense in having them demonstrate it if we're not gonna do it. And I think theirs is just a program that after you get everything, you put it in there. Baker
Okay.
Tilly is gonna help you get everything that you're gonna put in there done, so,
And don't they also submit?
yeah. So I think the Keystone probably is just moved for now.
Okay, alright, we will move on to new business. Oh, I put the quote for paving Pennsylvania Street in the wrong area, I guess. Sorry, any further discussion on it? Alright, Graham put together our ordinance for vacating an alley. We had a public hearing actually in July, and we all agreed as town council to vacate the alley. So he put together the ordinance, that makes it official that that alley, over, between Iowa and the alley for, the post office, would be vacated to back over to the harvest. Anybody have any questions on any of this step or this process?
No, but their little deck that they put out there in that alleyway looks pretty, doesn't
Does,
it?
eh? They did a
Like,
nice
it looks
job for
pretty
that.
pretty.
Alright, I need a motion if we wanna adopt this ordinance.
I make a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Alright, got a first?
I'll second.
Got a second? And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Alright, and Jenny, do you know what ordinance it'll end up being, 2021 dash
2021-13.
13?
I've got one typed up here too with everybody's names
Okay,
on it, so I'll pass it around when I do the other stuff.
alright, very good. Next item on the agenda, Swanson mediation. So Graham has asked, the town council, we need to appoint a representative to be at the mediation, to represent the town.
Right.
And so,
October 5th at 1 o'clock. Yeah.
okay? So you guys have thoughts on who you want to represent the town?
I think you do a fine job doing it. Really,
All right.
if you're available.
No, I think you'll be gone.
You'll be gone.
That's
The
the,
5th?
that's the.
Oh, that's the
Your workshop.
workshop
What's the
for, our ARPA fund.
Mhm.
Well, how dare they schedule that on the same day as something else? Yeah, the, AIM is doing a workshop for how to
our
spend the
money.
ARPA money,
Where,
which now we're getting $238,000 for that, just so everybody knows, we're getting more.
We
but-
did get our money.
Yay.
I got the thing today, got 119.9501.
We don't get distracted with little issues
No,
like
we don't.
where,
back to
where's
to
the,
mediation.
where's that
We-
mediation at?
We need,
At Indianapolis, it's on the north side, I get you the address, and I sent the information to Jeff too.
okay.
It's like, John, it's you, it looks like.
I don't know, I'll be working, but
I'm unable to that day.
You're what?
I'm unable to that day because stuff going on at work.
Okay. And you're also working?
Yeah, I was gonna
Selling
say,
flowers?
that would be hard for me to close, I'd have to close all day for that.
Okay.
What's the time frame?
are you going?
I'll be there, yeah.
If you pick me
Starts
up.
at 1 and it could go,
You know,
Hey, if you pick
If
me
you
up,
pick him
I'll
up,
go,
you'll
or I
go
can
with
meet
him.
you at Danville, but it,
yeah, we can
I'll-
drive together.
I'll go, yeah, I'll do that then.
Yeah.
October 5th.
October 5th, 1 o'clock. I'll contact you about travel.
Okay.
All right, so everybody's good with John representing us at the mediation? All right, thanks, John. Okay. Next item on the agenda, stamp machine. So on the 1st of September, I happened to be in the office and Jenny printed off her 4,000, postcards for the sewer bill. And I was in a offering mood, so I offered to help stuff, and she hands me a big stack of them. She has to stamp each one of those individually every month. And I thought, well, don't they make machines to do this? So I wanted to pursue a stamp machine where she just has to feed the paperwork into the machine and it stamps them and it like bills us automatically to for the post office. So she doesn't even have to go to the post office and buy stamps anymore, it just does it. So I would think that would be a much better use for Jenny's time than sitting there for 370 some postcards that she has to put a stamp on. Now I emailed Pitney Bowes Company to get a price quote on their machine. They had a really nice one where you put the postcards on this tray and it just zips them through for you. They never got back to me, so, but we can continue pursuing that if everybody's good with us finding something and then spending some money. Like I said, I think it would be much better use of Jenny's time.
We could use it for other things too.
Yes, for anything you wanna mail out, so, but,
If they do it the way they did, we had one, a Pitney Bowes, you have to go to the post office and they pre-program, you prepay for $100 worth of stamps. And then you use your $100 and then you have to go back to the post office and they have to do something to the machine and pre-program again to give you another. But they don't let you charge.
Oh, I thought it
They
was-
don't let you charge it, they
There's
want
always
you
a
to pay for
catch.
them up front before they,
There's always a
I'm
Yeah.
familiar with
the
doing
way
it
the
over phone.
website,
I'm familiar with doing it over the phone where you don't have to go to the post office.
okay, well, see that,
You have to
I
load the
haven't
machine
used
that's
one of
prepaid.
those machines for probably 20 years.
the way the website suggested is that you can do it all on your
Yeah.
email. You can set up or purchase a refill of stamps in the machine, that way.
Technology.
So,
Yeah.
alright, well, we'll figure out something, we'll try to find a machine that we can get a quote on for everybody, but just thought that was something that'll get us into the 21st century here, with putting stamps on stuff, so. Next item on the agenda is transfer of funds. Jenny?
I've got a transfer in the edit fund of $25,000 to pay for the, new playground equipment. And this coming from the grant fund match to miscellaneous park supplies. And then, one in the general fund from annexation to dues and school fees to pay for us to go to French Lick to find out how to spend our money. So it's, $26,000 altogether. And I did get I got us registered, and because they don't have any hotel rooms, you had to register by the day, so it was cheaper. It was $265 each instead of $345.
Okay, very good.
You gonna sleep in your car?
No, we're gonna sleep in the casino.
At the roulette.
Well, I make a motion that we transfer the $2,600.
All right, got a first,
I'll second that.
got a second motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, funds are
Actually, it's
transferred.
26,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's 26,000.
Yeah.
Did I say 100?
I did.
No, I'm good.
All right, next item on the agenda is our new town manager, Jeff Eater. Jeff, welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity. I'm, looking forward to working with you and getting to know you and getting to know Clayton. So, it's been a good couple weeks, working in the office with Doug and Jenny, and met, worked with George and Pete a little bit, seeing what's going on in town and getting my feet wet and trying to come up to speed on what project you are. And, one I've dove in the most with would be the sewer plant or the lining, and working with the contractor to get that going forward. And, you will see the contractor back out here real shortly on the manhole rehabilitation. So they have, they're getting ready to come back out and do that. They're going to end up right there at the school, and they're going to do the school stuff right next to the school over the fall break. So that's working out well, and I just looking forward to working with everybody, and talk to Graham once on Friday, so trying to just learn what's going on here in town. I'm sure you'll be hearing a lot more from me in the future.
Good deal.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Chief Oliphant, you're up.
Perfect timing.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
We just had an alarm at the library, so they're having some issues with their alarm system, so I was trying to help her figure out what that problem is. It's went off a couple times. It went off this morning at like 6 o'clock and just went off again, so. That's where I had to go for a second. The only thing I have, I was out for probably a couple of weeks. But I'm back now. I still have a terrible cough, but I feel okay. Michael Cochran will be starting on the 20th, his official first day. So you'll be seeing him around. I'm gonna bring him probably to the next board meeting so everybody can meet him. But he's all good to go. Almost all of his equipment came from Plainfield, so we don't have to purchase anything. So it saved us some money. They're loaning him a radio for him to use, so we can have that radio as long as we need it. So that saved us some money there as well too, because those are about $5,000. So things around town have been pretty quiet. We haven't had much for me to report really. It's been pretty good. Are our crossing guards back?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Came back
Okay, back to work.
Tuesday.
Okay. That's all I have. Anybody have any questions for me?
You did Pennsylvania Street.
I know that when I get off work at night, I a lot of times drive around and
Sure.
look for street lights out, so I
Yeah.
can report them on my Duke
Yeah.
Energy.
Yeah.
And one of the renters on Pennsylvania in the doubles is parking in in Pennsylvania, like south of the pavement.
On the end?
Right,
there?
thinking that that's not part of the street, but it is part of the street all the way to the Cooper's property.
Property. Okay. So they're parking in the middle of that?
Yeah, I mean, his car was,
Okay.
I mean, if the Coopers had called 911 and the EMS tried to go down Pennsylvania.
You know it's one
they
of
would
their
have had-
cars though?
It was like a gold sedan.
But do we know who owns it?
I
For sure. Okay, I can figure that out.
Yeah, I just thought,
I'll take
just
a
to
look at it.
let them know that that's really part of Pennsylvania Street and they can't block it.
Sure.
The ambulance would've had to go into the grass so, to get around them, or go back out, of
Okay.
Iowa Street and,
Yeah,
But-
I'll check it out and see what I
yeah. Just,
figure it out.
just looking at it, they might not think that it's part of the street, but
Yeah,
it is,
yeah,
so.
okay. Yeah, I'll see if I can figure out who's doing that and then, oh, too, we have the public safety thing that D&D's doing this weekend. And I think they asked for closure of Tennessee Street from 0 to Pennsylvania, is that correct? If there's a large crowd that does show up to that, I want to know if the council will be okay with me closing 0, from the bank to 500 if we need the space. Does anybody have any issues with that?
How would people get into town if you closed roads?
They just have to go down to Michigan and come around.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. I don't think that we'll have to, but I don't, he doesn't know for sure how many people are gonna show up. So if we run out of space, we're gonna have to figure something out.
And we have enough barricades for that. I know we have a couple of nice ones at the park.
I've got, in my Tahoe for the schools, I have 18 traffic cones, so
Oh,
I can, this should be fine, I can use those.
What's the timing of it?
The time,
he's gonna start registration at 9.
yeah. So it would probably be somewhere, once cars started showing up, I'm just gonna have to see what we got going on. I mean, like, if it fills up with so many cars, we'll have to figure out a way to, some other options. I mean, again, I prefer not to do it, but if we do have to. I just wanna make the council aware that we might have to do that. And what I'll probably do, I'll probably try to stay in that area, so if people have questions, I can tell them how to get around it. I wouldn't be more concerned about by the stop sign, I'd be more concerned about people coming up 0, not knowing that goes around.
Is there any way if you do close 0 that you can put a sign up, on, what is that, Michigan?
Yeah,
Like detour here, go,
we could probably
through
come
here?
up with something, I would think,
If-
yeah. Like I said,
I would
I'll
assume
probably,
most people would know, but.
you never know. I would probably try to hang out in that area is what I'm thinking, if we have to. So, I mean, if we have 100 cars show up, that's gonna be difficult. But I just want that as an option, I wanna make the council aware of that. So I can look at trying to do some sort of signage. Do we still have the old marquee sign somewhere, or we get rid of that?
It's still right next to the town garage.
Do we have
Still
lettering
sits
for it?
The lettering,
I don't know about
the
that.
fire department has the lettering,
That thing's falling apart.
but most of the letters,
Good luck.
the
Good luck
plastic
with that.
bad on it, and the letters were sticking, it's,
You get a Sharpie and,
It's not as old as John, but it's close.
yeah, it's close.
So that's probably not an option.
okay.
It's sort of just getting a piece of poster board and writing something on it. It looks kind of tacky, but I don't know what else we could do.
Alright, so,
I would probably just try to hang out there and, help direct people around if need be.
okay. Do you need consensus from us on
Probably do, yeah. Just make sure.
if it spills over, you'll close Iowa between the bank and.
Yeah. And I'm only gonna close it for a long, I even have thought about having people park because, it's kind of wide there in front of the ag store. Of just lining cars up along there too if we need to. My last resort would be closing it completely. That's kind of what I'm thinking. 'Cause I think the
Alright.
fire department's gonna stage on Tennessee so they can go out if they have a run, from what I understand. So I hope we don't have to, but I just wanna make it an option if need be. Even if we take it down to one lane, I think I could make that work too, so.
Alright,
I'm okay.
I think it's fine.
yeah,
It's fine with me.
John?
Yeah.
Okay, alright, consensus to,
Alright,
if it spills
Appreciate
over
it.
in Iowa, you can close that.
alright, I appreciate it.
Alright, very good. Any other questions for Chief Oliphant. Alright, next item on the agenda, George Burnett.
Alright, 2 items. So document that Graves is done with the project down there. They've taken out all their equipment except for their padlock. And I told him to make sure he took it and he didn't do it, so, I'm gonna call him, tell him to either come and get it or I'll cut it off and I'll give him an option to come and get it, 'cause it's like 4-way padlock right now, so it's a mess to get in there. But they're done with it, so, yeah.
So is the north plant operational now?
Not yet, the plan is not, a week from this Saturday, cause I'm gonna utilize, James's equipment and everything, and he's out of town, so
Okay.
he'll be back that next weekend and we'll stage and try to get it back up and running,
Okay.
so. Second item is, last month you guys okayed me to go ahead and get some equipment to try to do a study within town in the, manholes. And we went ahead and wrote the check, I called the guys, they called me and said, we got the check, but we got bad news. We don't want this kind of business anymore, we're gonna kinda get out of it. I'm like, what? Went through all this work, so, did you get the check back yet? Alright, so, unfortunately, what we thought was gonna be a golden ticket was a flop, so, I've contacted some other people. I found a system, that system was around $1,200 a piece, I found one for around $5,000. The thing is, I called the guy and talked to him, he says, yeah, but you don't want it, cause everybody I've installed one for hates it, so I'm like, okay. So, thanks for the heads up, I wanna spend my $5,000,
There you go.
ahead of time, right? So I'm still working on finding a solution that we can do that. I know there's gotta be a way, I just gotta work it out, so
Okay.
we'll keep on.
I have here a letter that I typed up for your 3 items of equipment that you wanna get rid of,
Okay.
For, declaring them of no value to the town.
Yep.
So you've replaced these, in the recent past, so.
Yes.
We just have a letter here and, I think I printed off a copy
Yeah.
for all of you guys, so.
Mhm.
These items are, ones that George has already replaced and he just wants to get rid of them. He had looked into trying to sell them to other people and nobody was interested in them, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's kinda why we got rid of it, they
Right.
outlived their useful lives, so. One totally just broke, so it's not anything.
Gotcha.
Was equipment older than me?
It's over 20 years old, so, are you over 20? Are you 21 today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so, do I have consensus on going ahead and signing this? I have a signature blank for myself and for our town manager to sign, that says we can get rid of it.
Go for it.
Consensus?
So,
Alright.
thank you. I'll just work with Pete and have him haul them away, or talk
Yeah,
about
we
it.
can take them to recycling since they're mostly metal, so we just
Okay.
see if we can get a
See if
couple
we
bucks
can get a
out
few
of 'em.
bucks for it.
Right.
Back. Okay, we'll make it happen.
Alright.
Clear out my
very
shit,
good.
so I got some room.
Um, Pete is out sick, so I told him to stay away since I don't wanna get anybody else sick. And, so the next Chief Russell is, well, do you have anything for us?
Nothing additional, did you get my report?
Yes.
Okay.
I forwarded that report to everybody else.
Yeah.
Nothing additional to that, so,
Okay.
unless you had questions about it.
Anybody have any questions for Brian? Okay. Alright, any other additional items? Oh,
Doug,
sorry.
I didn't hear if you had approved the executive session minutes from
No, they did not.
August 12th.
Oh, yeah.
So we had an executive session last month, just before our standard business meeting. We have to approve the minutes for that one as well.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, got a first,
Second it.
second, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, meeting minutes approved for both the executive and standard business. Just a, kind of a, one final note that I wanted to talk about. I know at our town managers, conference call that we had Tuesday, there was a lot of talk about, the vaccine and coronavirus. And, some communities are making it mandatory for police and fire. Some communities are making it mandatory for school employees and those kinds of things. I am 110% convinced that the vaccine is a good vaccine and that it's effective. I'm not necessarily looking to make it mandatory. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that that's happening around us. And if that comes up, just be thinking about what we want to do as a leadership board of our town, and which direction you want to go with that. I've been vaccinated since January, so I feel like there's a lot of evidence, supporting that. But also know that there's a lot of controversy around making it mandatory. So,
I took 3 shots.
Whiskey doesn't count.
I have, the SRF things that need to be
oh, right.
approved.
For the Graves construction, right? The final payment to them?
2 for GRW for their, asset management. So that was 25,000 and they've used all but 1,000 of it. And then there's one for 1150. GRW, one for 4887, one for 5460, one for 638. And then the one from Graves is $105,008. And you need to sign off on it. Cause I don't wanna get in trouble again.
Okay, any questions on those payments? All right, we have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we pay them all.
All right, got a first?
I'll second.
Got a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, who will pay those bills? Anything else? Steve, got anything? Or John?
Here, you can have your.
No.
Leanne?
Nope.
And Dave?
I do.
Okay,
So, passed out the 2 proposals on, hosting and updating and managing and providing content. Well, we provide the content, but it would be, taken care of by whoever the bid. And there's 2 companies. One is, C2 Consulting, which took care of the Liberty Township Public Library, which you can see they sent that on their quote. And I can ask for another quote to come in with the correct title. And then the other one is with Civic Plus, and I sent the email out about that this afternoon. So I'm not expecting everyone to understand all of this, but if you would give this, both of them a look through between now and the next meeting, and then ask me any questions between now and then. And then there's Doug has a full proposal from the Civic Plus, and I have an extra one here if anyone wants it. But I would like to bring that up at the next meeting and discuss it. The deal is the website could be much more functional than I'm able to make it, just due to the fact that I'm not creative in that way. So it would be better if we handed it off to someone that actually does that full time. I will say that the Civic Plus group is a nationwide company, and they have, not only they have a platform for municipality support of websites, but they also have other things as far as they can set up a database and things for like our assets and our streets and things like that, that we're already kind of pursuing some things with that. And I'm sure there's some hooks in the some of the things that we're looking at now that could be pulled into the website. So you can just have a one-stop shop where you go to the website, get some documents, forms, various things that you need from either of them, but Civic Plus seemed to have a little bit more of a broader approach to things. So keep that in mind, and shoot me some emails if you have questions about anything. That's about it.
okay. You 2 guys signed the nays on the ordinance for the value,
Well, we'll X that out. Wait up,
I'll
sir.
hand that back.
I told you he'd catch you.
I started.
I got
to-
you. You stop over.
Excuse, I'm blind.
I started to also, and then I stopped myself, so I was right there with you, but nay. Alright, anything else, Graham, you got anything for us? Alright, nothing else, it's 8 o'clock, I will, get a consensus on adjournment. Steve, you good with us adjourning?
Yes, please.
John?
Yes, yes.
Ian, and Dave, alright?